Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to talk a little bit about books. It's an interesting thing when you think about what a book is. It is a book that was published at a certain time, belonged to various people, or maybe just beginning with you. But the thing is that a book, unlike us, has lived many lifetimes. It has lived with various people. Many people loved them. Many people tried to sell them. Many people didn't really care. But the interesting thing is, over years, these books that have lived multiple lives sometimes become enwrapped in your own. And it wasn't a big thing for me years ago, and I don't really know why. But I never really tried to check out a lot of the history of my books. In the 1980s, 1990s. No, didn't try at all. It wasn't until the 21st century started. And maybe in a sense I started to understand that not only talking about history, but starting to look at the history that's around you is important. And so I started. And that's an ongoing quest. It can take sometimes a month or two to figure out who had the book. Sometimes you have these little clues. And you have to keep searching and searching. And like this one here. I just figured it out. I was working on this all last year trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. And then I had an idea. And the idea was correct. There's a list of subscribers in the back of the book, and I wanted to see if perhaps the person who wrote in the front of the book is in the back of the book. And by golly, they were. And also the people that he was around. And, of course, the fellow that signed this book was a fellow by the name of James Abram. And he belonged to a church in Pennsylvania. In fact, it was called what the heck is that saying? The Great Valley area of Pennsylvania, which is like by Valley Forge. And the minister of that church in which he was involved, his name was David Jones. And David Jones was a great Revolutionary War hero. And of course, James Abrams went with him, as did James' brother Isaac. And so they were part of an army. They were in Valley Forge. They were right in the thick of it. And sometimes I just sit there and I say, wow, boy, if this book could talk, can you imagine? I think about all these various books. These are all ones I figured out, where they came from, who had them. There's a bunch of them. There's about out of all of my books, maybe 10 or 12 altogether that I figured out their background, or who owned them, perhaps who first owned them. And it's fascinating, because then you kind of get an idea of where these books have been and whose lives did they deal with and what did they hear. That's the thing. I have these books that belong to John Adams' son-in-law, William Smith. And these books, it appears, as far as I can find at the moment, were given to William Smith by the second president, John Adams. And I'm pretty excited about these because I finally figured out what they were. And suddenly they take on a whole new meaning and a whole different range of thought. And once again, boy, wouldn't you love to have those books talk? Can you imagine being in the same room with John Adams, Abigail, William Smith, John Quincy at times? Wow, just amazing. So, what I'm saying here is that books are wonderful and amazing things to envelope yourself in. Surround yourself with them. I know Kindles are nice, but you know something? There's something magical to me. Might be my age, I don't know. But there's something amazing to have the feel of a book in your hands. Suddenly, very different than a Kindle, which is kind of cold and impersonal. This is almost like a living, breathing thing. It's been around a long time. Like this book's from 1810. Probably heard John Adams talk, and Abigail, and William Smith, and whomever else. And so they are a repository of imagination. And when you read, imaginations are the most important thing if you think about it. So I guess I've rambled on enough here, and just wanted to talk a few moments about books and encourage you to read and maybe look through the books you have. See what you find. There might be these wonderful things that you have no idea about. Or there's a signature you've never seen before. Well, see if you can figure out who it was, where they lived, why they got the book, or how they got the book, or where were they. You know, there's a whole window of opportunity and a region of amazing discovery with books. Old books, too. Those are important. And so I was saying, just at the beginning when we were talking, so if a book is new and it's never been used, it's not a very valuable one, but you want to keep it, maybe you might want to write a little information about yourself. Nothing too revealing, of course, just a name, a date. Don't give addresses and stuff like that. Of course, if you're keeping the books forever, they won't know anyway until much later. But put down stuff about yourself, what you do, what you think, what the world's like right now. They'll be shaking their heads in wonder, actually, if you do write down what the world's like right now. But just an idea. So, I've said enough. You have a good day, good night, whatever it may be. Thank you so much.